Hi, BookTube. It's Gina. Happy Monday. How are you? I'm doing well. It's gray and drizzly weather. It feels very like winter is getting very close. And so I thought it would be fun to talk about some of my favorite wintry slash Christmassy books. Some of these are set in winter, set at Christmas, but aren't necessarily Christmassy. A couple of them are quite Christmassy. One, if you know me, you will know at least one of the books on here. Most of them are cozy. There is one that is not cozy, but it's so wintry that I have to talk about it. They're not in any particular order. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. The first one is High Rising by Angela Thirkle, who is one of my favorite authors. I don't love everything she's written, but look at that cover. This one is set at Christmas. It is about Laura Moreland, an author, and her young son, and they go to her country house for the Christmas holiday, and chaos ensues, as it always does in Angela Thirkle's novels. And this is not really super Christmassy, but it's got a very wintry feel to it. Next, this is Nancy and Plum by Betty McDonald. And this is a middle grade book about two orphans, siblings, who are in a bad orphanage situation. I'm not sure what it is about bad orphanage situations that I find so appealing, but I do. And this has got some really cozy Christmas scenes. It's got some kids not being cared for scenes, which I think can be a little troublesome, but it's really cozy, very wintry, really Christmassy, and a cozy middle grade book to read this time of year. Next, this is actually another middle grade, and I've talked about this book in depth. It was on my top 10 of the year list the year that I read it. Sorry, I got a cat here. And this is A Place to Hang the Moon by Kate Albus. Look at that cover. This is another orphan story. It is about siblings who their grandmother, who they've been living with in London, dies. That's the very first scene. And they hatch up a scheme with their attorney or their solicitor to try to find new parents. And so they get billeted in a country town. And it's another situation where they don't get treated very well in certain situations. I guess that's a bit of a trope, but this has got some of the best Christmas scenes, and it's absolutely wonderful. One of my favorite books was, I think I said, it was in my top 10 of the year that I read it. So if you like orphan stories set in World War II, this is just an absolute fantastic one. Set in a library, not all the time, but there's a library that factors into it, lots of books, and it's one of my favorite books. It's so good. Next, and this is the one that will not be a surprise to anybody. I cannot do a cozy, Christmassy, wintry book conversation without talking about Winter Solstice by Rosamund Pilcher. One of my favorite books. Very wintry, very cozy. It does have, it has a bit of a rough beginning. Someone dies in the beginning. It's got wonderful relationship building. It's got all of Rosamund Pilcher's typical cozy settings. wonderful Christmassy scenes, and I can never recommend this book enough. I'll definitely be doing a reread of this one and this one for the holiday season this year. Next, and actually this is not a cozy book. It's not cozy at all. It is Winter's Tale by Mark Helprin, and this is a fantasy set in New York in the winter time. This is a fantasy about a flying white horse. It is so wintry. There are snow drifts that one character straps her baby on her back and climbs up backwards up a snowdrift in order to get from a small town into the city. There's a cloud wall that moves around and takes things over. There's time shifts. There are thieves and shady characters, and I love this book. It's weird, it's a little odd, it's very fantastical, but it's very wintry, and I absolutely love it. The next one I've got is Shoulder the Sky by D.E. Stevenson. Look at that cover. Sorry, it's a little bit shiny here. This is wonderful. It's a continuation of some of the characters from her book, Music in the Hills, and it is a young couple who have just gotten married that move into a house near his parents to settle in. And so it's them settling into a new marriage, and there is a snowstorm towards the end that is kind of the catalyst for the finale of the story. And I'm a big D.E. Stevenson fan, and I love this book. I love this cover too. This had a different name, I believe, and now I can't remember what it was. I don't know why sometimes the U.S. editions, they give them different names. I wish they wouldn't do that, but yeah, wonderful D.E. Stevenson. This is written in, I think, the 50s. Oh, look at these end papers. Aren't they great? Let's see. When was this? This was, 1950. Okay. Next is The Willows in Winter by William Horwood. This is set in the world of The Wind in the Willows, but obviously it's written by a different person, not Kenneth Grahame. And there's also one called The Willows at Christmas. I have not read that one yet. But these feel very much like The Wind in the Willows. This is a tale about Mole who goes out in a snowstorm and gets lost, and the other animals are trying to find him. And it's very wintry. It's got some very cozy scenes in it. It's middle grade, and look at Toad on the back. Next is my beloved Miss Reed. This is No Holly for Miss Quinn. Look at that cover. This is about a single woman who plans on just doing her own thing for Christmas. She wants to do some stuff around her home, and her plan does not work out as expected. And sorry, these Mylar covers. I love these Mylar covers, but they do make it a little difficult to get a good picture. So this is a standalone. It is not It is not really, you don't have to have read Thrush Green or Fairacre series in order to read this one. I do actually see this book fairly regularly at my used bookstore down in Tacoma. So I think you might be able to get your hands on it. Also, most of these books, I believe, are available on e-readers. Also, I'm not sure about this one. And then lastly, I actually have two contemporary books. The first is The Book Club Hotel by Sarah Morgan, who is actually becoming one of my favorites. I just finished another book by her called Snowed In for Christmas, and I loved that book. So I actually would maybe add that one to this list too. That is a very Christmassy book. And this one is set in a rural Vermont bed and breakfast. And it's a group of friends who meet every year. Usually they meet someplace warm and sunny, but this year there's some things going on, and so they decide to go to this cozy B&B in Vermont, and it's very cozy. You know, a little there's some things in it that are a little bit coincidental, but very good. And then the other one is the Huga Holiday by Rosie Blake. This is about a woman who gets sort of stranded in a small town, of course, falls in love with the town and the area. But there's one cranky person in town that she decides to just Huga to death so that this person starts to be less cranky. And I love that because I'm married to a bit of a cranky person when it comes to Christmas. And so I thought this was really fun, like trying to just cozy somebody into loving the holiday. I know from experience you really can't do it, but it was fun to read about. So those are my 10 wintry books. I'm definitely going to reread the two, and I've got some like cozy cookbooks and other Christmassy books that I will probably share in my next video. So let me know what you're going to be reading for the cozy winter period, and I will talk to you later.